Your question, whether we hired someone. Our development group is a nonprofit, so it's a really nice thing. A lot of grants can be run through us that have to go, like for the meat plant, we have people donate money for the meat plant, and then we bought shares through our development group, and then they can use it as a tax write-off. We don't have anybody hired. We're all volunteers on this board. And we have to do reports because we're a nonprofit and we have annual meetings and so forth. Most of our business help, and we also go to them, is our county JDA. And they have funds, tax money to give out. So we don't have that to administer in Bowdon, but other businesses can go to them and we can go to them for help. And they did help our meat plant and different projects that we do. We wish our county had, even though the county has a JDA committee, we wish our county had an economic development person on hire. That would really help. And there's some people in our county who think we have someone just because Harvey has someone, but we don't. So we don't communicate. That's where some of the answers you can put down for us for connectedness, you know.
Okay, anybody else?
I got one more thing to comment.
Okay.
Okay, you're talking about the county. Now the county, when we built our community center, and I don't know if all communities will do this, but the Morton County sent trucks in to haul all the debris out when we tore our old fire hall down. I'm thinking that would have been like $15,000 or $20,000. They contributed, and they couldn't say, they couldn't give us any cash, but they brought the trucks in and hauled all the stuff to the landfill. So, I mean, it's food for thought too, for if you want to do anything or have anything done. And the county's been good, as far as doing things for us. Of course, I think the county has an economic development part that in Morton County. So they're able to fund it because there is money available. And a few years back, they did have a fund that was done. Hebron was able to, and it was on a ballot vote, that they contributed money, and I think we still have some of that money left yet, that so much tax money each year, and then they dissolved it. I think there was enough opposition because they didn't want to pay it. They dissolved it, and then they gave each community, I think Hebron got like $13,000 that they had accumulated, and that's still laying in a fund that if we ever need it in a pinch situation, it'll be there. So. Yes.
I have a question about your rec center or community center. Now that it's built, is it running a deficit, or how do you fund the operations?
On the community center?
Yeah, how do you get it off?
It's all Bondi tax money. I mean, we charge rent for like the utilization of it. We try to, all our nonprofit organizations don't pay a dime because we encourage them to use it, and that's what we built it for. You build something for $800,000. Our utilities, we have our city offices in the same building, and that's how we can justify a lot of that, because we don't have to, have a special heat bill or anything. Everything is done in the community center. We got our meeting room for our city council, we have our auditor's office, we have our assessor's office, and everything is in that same building. So, no, I'm not saying it's self-supporting, but it's better than what we had. At least we can hold some functions and bring people into town to help the economy.
So the question to that is, you just moved people from City Hall to another building. So I mean, the reason I'm asking is because I'm looking at doing one parking. But a big hang up is how can we have buildings that are empty now, we go to a huge center, well, the gym's going to move to the community center, the local bar's going to the community center, well, that's going to leave more empty places. So how do you overcome that?
I mean, you're afraid there's more empty, would it be more empty places downtown?
Pretty much. If you consolidate stuff like that, you see your city assessor, all those people are in their own offices. Well, if they move into a building, those are empty,
Well, see, our city assessor and city auditor always have been in the community building. We've never had another empty building. Our city attorney, he has an office downtown, but he just comes when we have a city council meeting. He doesn't come You know, he doesn't have a place there per se. So these people are there. The assessor is there, I think, 2 days a week, and then the auditor is there from 8:30 in the morning to 11:30 in the morning. So, you know, they're part-time, but I can see the workload changing, just working with the city, that the workload is changing, that they may have to, we might have to improve that and go to a full-time auditor. In a lot of communities, I don't know if a lot of them have a full-time auditor, then of course you got to compensate them accordingly. But it's just the workloads, of course the city, state government and the federal government are requiring a lot more than they used to, say, 15 years ago. So, did that answer your question, I guess?
I think so.
Yeah.
I guess yours is more it was all around the government, but what am I going to add if we want to bring in different recreational amenities or offer the community just in different locations, we get a simple network.
Yeah.
But of course, they have their own buildings, so if you build a new center, they're going to just shift from an old building to a new building and have an old one just sitting there.
And see, that's what our advantage was. We weren't going to put, in fact, I was opposed to when we built the building, to not build offices in there and just use it for a community center, you know, for functions. But I was outvoted, and that's fine, because it worked out really well. Because this way we could turn the other building, and they didn't, the fire department, if we would have turned that building over, they didn't, in fact, our local law enforcement wanted to stay in that building because they had their offices in there too. But when they brought somebody in that needed some questioning and stuff, it was sort of like public, you know, you didn't have the privacy that they wanted. So a number of years ago, we had a cheese plant that was defunct, and I don't know if anybody ever heard of Hebron cheese, but it was good cheese, but they just couldn't make it. And so the city bought that building for a real reasonable amount. So then we stuck the police force in there and haven't had any complaints. They've been working out real well down there. So.
Okay, I just want to press you on a couple of things, and I know that you said you only have the housing as a challenge, but how about integrating the people who are moving in for the oil boom? Is that any kind of an issue at all?
Not
Are
really.
they participating?
No, they just live in their own little world. I mean, they just,
They're not participating.
Okay.
they're not participating in nothing. I mean, they come and they buy gas at the gas station.
Because, of course,
Yeah,
they're busy.
I mean, they're working a lot of hours.
Exactly, yeah.
Most of the people that we have come in, the oil field workers are, you know, they're working 12 hours a day, and they got some odd shifts. And there was a Super Value store in town, a big Super Value store, and then they closed it, and then somebody came in and made apartments in them. And then the oil company would rent the whole building and then have their workers just living in that. And they were like suites, really nice suites. They were well done, and the people would live in there. But that's a thing of they trying to sell it, but the price is pretty high. And now I think it's not utilized 100% anymore. It's just, you know, whenever they need people. So.
And then the other thing is about youth. Or do you feel like you're integrating the youth into the community process?
We're trying, but we're not being too successful.
Okay, would you want to consider that a challenge? Can I put that down?
Well, yeah,
I'm trying
I
to
guess
summarize.
we talked about it, and I think we talked about it when we had a break there, because
Right.
the youth don't want to get involved in anything, and we try to. I belong to the Lions Club, my wife belongs to the Lions Club, and we're getting really low on numbers. In order to carry some of our projects, we just need more bodies. Workers, I should say. Bodies is not the problem, it's the workers. So,
Can I say something?
So in a way, you're saying there's a declining membership in some of
right.
the social
And the same way with the
organizations.
Legion, but the Legion, you know, you have to be a veteran in order to belong. But, you know, the new ones even coming back from the war, from Afghanistan or any other place, they don't want to belong. They just have no desire to belong. And we need bodies there too, because we have some fundraising projects that we'd like to, you know, do better on.
Okay, thanks.
I think, you know, a lot of communities have that problem. I think they probably would join if we figured out the right way to approach people, and if we had something that they feel that they gain from. But a lot of times in small communities, once you get on a group or in a group, then you can't get off again. I mean, we gotta break this cycle so that it is fun, or it's educational or it's enlightening or something to be part of these things.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to put words in your mouth or anything, but I just think we're here, we're gonna be addressing these issues, so I'd like to get them out on the table.
Sure, that's
for
fine,
discussion.
that's fine.
And you actually mentioned the burnout in the youth and so on, so that was there. Okay, well, if nobody has anything else, and I'm sure, you know, you may have questions later on, but we're gonna take a look at their respective websites. So let's take a look at Bowdon first.
Okay, and I asked Michelle
And
to,
Yes, I can't see.
do you want to move it around for her? I think, yeah. I asked Michelle to come and do this because she composed it for us. She's in the middle of it.
So we, Bowdon had a website, but it wasn't maintained or updated and it wasn't very functional. So that was our main goal, is to make it functional, make it kept up to date, and give us a way to really communicate right away what was happening. So this is the website that we built. We wanted our businesses to be easy to access. So we have our businesses listed so that you can go by category, or you can go to the alphabetical listing of where things are.
What's the population?
131.
We are still in development of the website, so there's still a lot of working pieces to it, and really getting the community engaged in using the website. Because as they demonstrated earlier today, the younger community, this is where they go. Everybody that I work with on any boards in our area says, well, just pull out the phone book and look. So it's very different. The people who are putting things together are working one way, and the people they're trying to attract are working completely differently. So we're working through this. So for example, the cafe, it's a work in progress right now. It's under construction because they have a menu that they've used forever, and the idea of putting their menu out there so people could see what's happening or their weekly special kind of freaks them out. But they're getting excited about it and explaining to them how things work. And so we made a slider for them, this new header, you know, which changing the graphics at the cafe was a new and exciting move too. But it kind of sparked them to think. They got a lot of people coming in and saying, hey, we saw that on Facebook, or we saw that you were having the fish fry again. We thought you guys stopped doing that. And it's really kind of communicating to them that this is working. And then we have DuckFest. And so instead of building a separate website for DuckFest, we just incorporated it in. So people can come out to our DuckFest page, which right now we're in between events, and our committee just started meeting again, and we revamped it. So last year, when we were looking at DuckFest, we said there was a couple of challenges that we were facing, and one is our main event was an art show, and it was dying out. The same group had been doing it for about 8 years, and they did a wonderful job, but their contact list wasn't changing, wasn't getting updated. They were getting the same artists, and it was starting to have a very familiar look and feel to it, and they were getting burned out doing it because it was a lot of work for getting less and less art and fewer people. So this year we changed that up, and part of what we're going to be doing is putting on a kids event, a family event. So all of the booths in where the art show was will be sponsors, and they'll have a booth where kids can come and do it. So this site's going to be updated here shortly as we get that configured back together. But what we did is we changed our sponsorship along with DuckFest to tie in some of our website things. So those sponsors that gave at a certain level were able to get ads on Facebook and get an ad that ran on our website. And we didn't just do it for this period of DuckFest, but then took it through the year. And the response was great because we actually doubled our sponsorship for DuckFest last year. And also in changing up the event, we added some things because we had that additional sponsorship, that now coming into this next year, people are talking about DuckFest again like it's something new, instead of that it's, I've been there, done that. It's changing and different. And our companies have liked that they've gotten something more for their dollar in investing in our event. It doesn't cost us a lot to build them an ad and put it on our website and our Facebook page, But for them, that's huge, because then you click on it, it goes to their link. You know, takes them to the big, it's kind of nice for them. So, any questions about the website or anything you'd like to see?
Is that, did you just have that capacity to take over and do that, or did you have to hire help, or, I mean, it's always great to make it look like, well, I can't do that.
That's what they hired me for. That's what I do, is some business marketing and graphic design for small businesses. And that's probably the number one thing that I would say is almost every website, city website you go and look at is running off the exact same template. The header art is different, and that's about it. And for towns like Bowdon that's trying to brand themselves and do something different, they needed something that stood out and made people stand up and pay attention to their site. The other thing, it needs to be updated and maintained all the time. And they have a bunch of volunteers who are willing to do that, but again, the people sitting on the boards are not familiar with A, using the internet, and B, updating a web page or updating a website or using social media. So that's where we changed that and gave it, a different look and made it part of that. And then we, after the whole big project's over, then we just do a maintenance piece of that each month. Because like Patty said, we don't have anyone in our area who's looking out for the communities, the small communities from a county level or from even a city level. We have several cities in our county that are struggling with the same issues. And a lot of it has to do with, you go on their website and the information's 10 years old or doesn't go anywhere. It lists the business, but no name, no phone number, nothing.
Have you had any experience, I know that you were talking about some of your programs that you promote for in the community, it seems like they fall by the wayside after a while. People get tired of doing the same thing over and over, and you change them to get new interest in it. Is that basically what you do?
Yeah, and that's the goal in everything is, you have an event like Duck Fest, it's been around, it just celebrated 10 years last year. It's a great event, it's there, and it came up from a grassroots event. The goal is that we started looking at the last couple of years is, okay, how do we make sure it's still here in 10 years? And what do we need to do to bring life into it? And what happened last year is the same committee who'd been doing it for the last 5 did it last year, but took a big leap of faith in letting us add on a new event for the evening, which was the local bar brought in the Roosters. And instead of doing it at the bar, we moved it down to the event center and brought in a concert in the evening, which before was the art auction. And so there was concern from the older people in town of, well, what are we going to do? Well, we put their activity at the community center and let this new, more youthful event happen in a larger area. And the turnout was amazing because they were worried about maybe getting 200 people, and we had 400 people. And we had people who actually came from other communities, and they rented a bus to bring people over because it was such a cool thing in the middle of nowhere to have this great dance and event. So it is keeping your event updated. You don't have to change it every year to be something completely different, but always adding a new element or doing something different. And like this year will be the Kids Festival, which we don't have one locally.
Do you have a way of knowing how many people are actually using the website?
Yeah, we just use Google Analytics and follow it.
So are you finding that they're being used?
Yes. It went before where there was no tracking of it. And then when we just revamped it, this is the second, the final installation, but when we just updated it, it had a few users. But as we started using social media and started putting our website on every promotional item that we have out there, you saw the traffic increase. And you hear now more in town, and you see people coming to events and talking about events, and you see the shares on Facebook, and you see the number of people coming in and reading, so it works.
And do you have a way in which you can get people to input on the website exactly? I mean, specifically saying, well, we'd like to see this on the webpage, or would you, do you have any kind of input?
Mm-hmm. We have our contact form so that they can come out and it just goes directly to us right from the site. And then we also have, inside of Facebook and that, and we ask for commentary.
Is that used very often?
I'm sorry.
Is that used?
Yes, actually, we get a lot of feedback. In fact, and we've gotten some things that are little things like, hey, how do I get involved in Duck Fest, or how do I participate, or just, the grocery store opens. So it's a variety of things, up to and including some political things that we're like, oh, I'm glad this is coming here first, so we can get it addressed before it comes through somewhere else.
And in line with this, one last thing, would it be a good idea to have something like, if you want to volunteer or participate or something, that there could be some like link directly to that?
Absolutely, yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Are you full-time, part-time, who pays yourself, if I can ask that?
The BACI hired me to develop their website, so that was just a project piece that I did, and then we do maintain. But I do that for multiple businesses in our area, across Wells County, and across the country, so that's mine. And then a lot of the, like being at the event and doing that, that's my participation in town, so that's where that comes through. So they paid me to build our website, and then we maintain it monthly. But like being as part of Duck Fest and that kind of stuff, I do that to be involved in the community. But that's fun. The Spesden, where I live, which is the next town over, their Civic and Commerce group has been doing their website, and they have the exact same issue. Nobody's maintained it for the last 10 years. And they were talking about just getting rid of their website because it really wasn't doing anything. And I said, please don't do that. And so I took from them and said, hey, you know what? I will do the website. I'll trade out the advertising. So let me go put advertising on the website for the local businesses and sponsor it that way, because that's how I do our local newspaper too, that exact same way. And it works because the advertisers know, the businesses know that this is where people come and this is where people are looking, and they want to support that. So local businesses actually are funding the one in Fresno, which we just started that project.
Can you talk a little bit about costs, like sponsors, what it costs them, and commercial fees?
There's the site, the standard fee to design a website, and that's usually just standard across whatever you would normally pay to build a website, and the custom graphic piece of that. So if you go out onto like Wix.com, they'll probably charge you $100 to set up your website, but you're going to use clip art and graphics that you come up with and do all the work. So everything here is custom, so it's more than the $100 to do the website. And then the monthly maintenance fee to keep up the website. I do all of their Facebook posts. I put together articles. I will go and search out things. It's $150 a month to maintain that.
What are the sponsors paid?
Oh, and right now for Duck Fest, let me just show you what we did sponsorship-wise. And I can tell you the sponsorship piece worked not just for Duck Fest, but I also sit on the Wells County Fair Board. And they had the same issue. They were sending to the same 50 people they always sent to. And I said, well, it's Wells County. Send to the 150 people in the county who would be interested in participating. And it did the same thing. And the biggest piece to it was not just sending a letter that said, hey, sponsor our event. It's really great. It's great for the community. But it was adding a section that said, here's what you get in return for your dollars. And you saw a lot of people move up from $50 to $100 and $100 to $300. So this is what we had for our levels, and we went on our 300 plus. I think we added 4 last year to the 300 plus, and we moved several people up from that under $50 to $100 because they saw what we got.
We're not going to do 25 anymore. It's too low.
Okay.
How do you get the information from the event that we put on the page? Like if I was going to have a vaccine clinic and I wanted to post it, how does that process work?
And that's the main trick, is getting everybody to use it. We've made it really clear how to do it. We've tried to include it like in the Guardian when we publish it. We've written articles in the local paper about the website and how to access it. But we just have one email address and everybody sends in, and we just, every meeting we go to, everybody on the committee that goes to meetings says, send that in. You know, we just keep encouraging and we're building that. We've also tried to host a meeting where if you want to put stuff on the website, come and visit with us, and so that we can get that built. And a lot of it is, in the beginning now, is seeking stuff out. So like, for example, I want to put a page out here about our ambulance service in Bowdon. They do an amazing job. It's all volunteer. And they have a really big crew for such a small town. It's 20 people volunteer to be on the ambulance there. And they just got a new ambulance and all these great things that they're doing. You can't find any information about them. And so it's literally pinning down the fire chief and sitting down and having a conversation with them. But once he understood what we were offering to do, then all of a sudden the information is forthcoming and come be part of our event. So it takes a lot of work to get the information to you, but once they're connected into, oh, hey, this could benefit us, then it becomes much easier. Any questions?
I saw the ads going across there, those are the sponsors.
Those are the sponsors right now.
Is that a monthly or an annual fee?
Right now, that's part of being a sponsor of Duck Fest. That's how we did it for Bowdon. So that they just paid that $300 to sponsor Duck Fest, and BDCI kept their ad running all year. And we're looking at, are we going to change that in the future? How are we going to manage that? We haven't got that far yet. It just started. But the companies liked it. And we have a few other things on here, like we've talked about the meat plant. Well, not a lot of people know that the meat plant, first of all, is there, and then that they have a website too. So we put that out up there because it benefits the community, or if we're gonna have a community supper or anything like that, we use this spot to communicate that out rather than just putting a post online.
Was it just the $300 sponsors that get the ad all year long?
Yes.
Unless it's a community event or
And yeah,
something BDCI decide we would cover for the cafe, we would cover for the meat plant and the grocery store. Because they're pretty much community-owned businesses, so we're doing it for them.
in ways that we're looking at expanding, and it's like in our business section, when you look at the top, there's a line for the cafe, the closet, the grocery store, lodging. We want to offer out to our businesses because a lot of small businesses in town, they don't want their own website, they don't have the time, they don't have the funds.
Right.
Okay, well, for a yearly fee or stipend for the page, everybody gets a free business listing on the site, everybody, and that includes their name, address, and phone number and website. But what we're looking at developing is you want your own page that you could feature your graphics and your pricing and your kind of information, then it's X dollars, and it will post up here, and at the top here it would say Bob's Hair Shop or whatever, and you click on it and then it would list out all of their offerings and everything. Now they've got a site and it's connected to the city site where most people are gonna go. They can have search engine properties that will bring you to that site when you look up their name, but they haven't had to develop a whole website for themselves.
So how do you charge that out if they want their own page?
That's what we're looking at right now, is how we're gonna do that, but it has to be reasonable as to letting a small business get advertising, the most out of advertising dollars.
Where's it posted at? Your own server?
This one is just hosted actually through North Dakota Telephone Company, is where it's done, so we just upload the same way that we were doing before, but instead of using their template software, which is more difficult to manage, we design our own and just upload the files.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and what I see is we're going to have you on a special panel, a special section, all your own. And if you have any business cards, note what she has on and catch her at the ice cream social. Okay, Ken, do you want to talk just very briefly about your website as
I don't know how
well?
to run the machine, I guess.
Oh,
Okay.
here.
Maybe you want to run the machine. And I think you see ours is relatively simple. We don't have charges or anything. Everything is done as a donation to the community. I mean, we have a lady that's doing it now, and she just started, so I don't know if it's complete or not. In fact, I didn't even review it, and I apologize for that. I should have looked it over before I came, but I have looked at it, but I know there's some changes made recently. So, and she's still working on it. She's working in Dickinson now, probably attending school to some extent, and she just does it in her spare time. But you can run through it, and then if anybody has any questions, it tells you a little bit about Hebron.
I really liked their online utility payments. That was pretty cool.
Now you can make more comments, probably I can. Well, that was something new that we started with the online utility payments. It was a convenience for our constituents, you know, to be able to pay that. And I don't know how many are taking advantage of it, but, and these are some of our activities that we do have, I guess, was there. Was there? Okay, the 4th of July, we have what we call Watermelon Days. It's close to 4th of July, and we supply watermelon to all the hungry people that want to eat nice cold watermelon. There it is. 4th of July, basically we don't, they had a fireworks display at one time, but that has fell by the wayside because we operated on donations and they didn't come in appropriately, so we had to sort of